His name is Matt Kirk. He lives down in Texas.
He stole my notes. You just said what?
It's kind of fun.
So, yeah, there's some. There's no financial benefit. The actual financial is like, sorry, they sold one. Yeah, like it's for sure. And they told me they were. I was friends with John. Well, you can still get that. You can still get that when you're young.
That's true.
I've got a little chihuahua. They bark. So like my neighbors here, like he likes barking at neighbors when they come outside. So they're little guys too. So it's scary.
Yes, you don't do that. Oh, okay, yes. That's what let me up walk here. Yeah. I like it, yeah, you just got married.
I got an email.
Oh, okay.
I got an email nice.
So, yeah, we're moving up here, like,
we were already setting up, so I was like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
So, you live in Colony?
This year.
This year, okay. That's really
Yeah.
close, right?
9 seconds.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, different schools.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, great.
It's too much.
I was like,
It wasn't a different angle. But
It's dog friendly. So that he has to.
It's across the east part.
Oh, yeah.
No,
So,
she thinks she is. Oh, okay.
yeah, it's just personal. I'm not getting another green.
I know, so send me screenshots and send it to me. It's like, tell him I look there. No, I didn't see it. He's like, pay attention. I'm like, why? Really? Come on, Tim. Think about what you're saying. Oh, it's so funny. Right? Exactly. I know. So my niece did that. Facebook Live, that was like my favorite part of that.
Yeah, I don't even have a name yet, so it's something I came up with. Yeah, my initial.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then probably like everything.
But you can take it. Yeah, it feels good working. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my other old dog, like mine is like, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Like it wasn't pre-approved, I got a presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Spare pieces.
Yeah, so I got It's still working.
And then you put the old ones on during the day when you get home.
And then I've got layers.
We have like,
That's actually why our price is
March next.
All the mirrors are there, so
We think so far.
It's still very. I could just start.
Yeah, I actually do have.
Yeah. And then there's a whole other. Yeah, you're saying that this right now, me and myself.
Much better than most. It's much better to own a house if you can.
Yeah, totally. All right.
But our lease is nice. You guys wanna take your seat if you are leaving for a home? You will have a penalty.
Dun, 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 dun. How is everyone doing? Good? A lot of information to digest, right? But we'll be able to make up, you guys can, make appointments and talk one-to-one to see your specific situation. Now, I have the best part, I think, or at least I love it, is the romantic part of the process. Right? It's like how, like tips for house hunting, how. So I say one of the things is be market savvy and know what you can get for your money. So I will tie this with create your wish list. What do you want? Do you want a single family? You want a multifamily? You want a condo? You want a townhouse? Like, what do you want? How far do you want it from your work? You need to be in a special school district. All those things, write them down. And I think writing them down just make the plan more clear. And how many bedrooms do you need? Do you have pets? Do you need a backyard? Do you have kids? Is your family, one of your family is going to live with you? Maybe you need an in-law apartment. So everything that you wish, write it down in a list, and then you will give it to us. One of the other things for house hunting is also be realistic in what you can afford in the current market. Like this current market, I say, is savage. We are in the wild, wild west. It's like, you gotta be like that because it's really crazy. But everything is possible. I think like there's always a house out there for each one of us waiting, and we just need to find them, and that's our job, and that's why we're here. So, but also like in all that wish list that you have, well, put your budget and see how much can I afford? Based on the advice from our specialist, and all this hunting house, we can do it simultaneously as you are talking to the mortgage officer. So because that way we work at the same time. I'll say as well, be picky. Like just is your house. You are gonna go there and going to see it. Don't feel pressure for anything. Feel, you're paying for that house. So really get the details, get what you need, and ask for that. When you go and see your house, when you have a schedule a show, we'll talk about that later. But be picky. Get the details and walk through it and feel it like it's your place. Also, I'll say if you have already furniture, picture that furniture in the new house. Like if I have a couch, well, and now I have a couch it won't fit in my living room. What am I gonna do? Buy another one or that's like try to optimize all your resources. Be comprehensive in your search. Get set up in auto mail with an agent. So what we do for your house hunting, when we have your wish list and we have your budget and we have everything that we need to know from you, we'll put you in the MLS list. You will get emails as soon as the properties come in. You will get them in your email, and then you will. That's how you will be more aware or informative in how is the market and how are the houses that are around that area that you want to live. Give yourself time, I'll say as well, because you gotta. It's a process. Let's say you wanna. I'm gonna pinpoint over there. Christina, she wants to buy a house for the next summer, and she wants to get ready. What to do? She's a young girl working and everything. Well, give yourself time to prepare and also to schedule to know how long this is going to take, because it's a process. So right now with the inventory that we have, it's hard to have houses or to have get a house like right away. Everyone jumps on it and offers get rejected all the time. But that's not to discourage. That's just to give yourself some patience and give yourself time to in your process. Be flexible when it comes to your needs and your wants. So if if that's the house you love it, but it doesn't have maybe the kitchen that you like or the tile that you like or the color, well, but it's a really good deal and you can get it fast. Just be flexible, so you don't lose one deal. And focus on the things you can't change, like location and size. As we mentioned in the wish list, you will have that very sorry, my bilingual sometimes, having that in your wish list, have that in mind. And you have any questions about that? No?
I have a comment.
Yep.
Also know your weaknesses. So I'm the most non-creative person in the entire world. So I walk into all of our houses when we were going through this first time process years ago. And I almost didn't buy our house that we bought and we loved because the one room was really dark. And my husband's like, just go over there. Just go in the other room. You know him, right? So he's like, just go over there. We'll figure it out. And then I walked through the rest of the house. I almost left the house because I was frustrated. By this time, it was my 10th house that we had gone into. And I saw this one really dark room. And now it's one of my favorite places that we have. So just wanted to add that in.
That's great.
So
Thank
if
you.
You're not creative, please lean on your other people in your lives to help you be creative. So don't judge a book.
That's great. Well, thank you. Now we have Marina.
I'm kind of recovering what you already covered. If you guys want to take your packet out on this guide on page 10, actually, there is a chapter 4, which home is right for you. And I think what Anna covered is really important because this is one of the important things that you want to have your list, your wants and your needs, and sometimes you don't cares when you search for a home. And it's important for your agent to know that as they're helping you to find the perfect home for you. So let's see, what are some things that are important for you guys? What's something that's important for you in a home? Give me something.
A stable foundation.
Stable foundation. So that is a need. That is not a want. This is something we can't just, so that is important. What else? Say that again. Land, yeah. So this is a need. If you're like me and if you're a dog owner and you have 2 dogs and you need some land, or you have 4 or 5 4-wheelers, or if you have animals, this is something that you need to know your agent. You need to let your agent know, and you need to be aware of when you're looking for a home. This is what you need in a home. What else? How about, sorry, yeah? Location. You've heard many people say location, location, location. You can change how your kitchen looks like and how your floors and the color of your walls, but you can't change your location. the one thing you cannot also change is square footage. If you have kids, and if you have 4 kids, 2 bedrooms is not something you want. It's something you actually need. So you have to be aware of that, and that's what you need to look for. And again, it's very important that you stay in communication and constant communication with your agent, because the agent is going to be there for you to make sure that you get your wants and your needs. And it's also going to keep you in check of, hey, do you really care about that? Or is it something, yes, I can go without it or with it? Because in this market right now, the needs can be a deal breaker. Actually, the wants can be a deal breaker, but the need is something that we can't just pass by, and we need to be aware of that. Am I missing something?
No.
What's the next one?
So with that being said, this part of the process is letting the showings begin. So what will happen is we're going to get you set up on an automatic email. This is crucial in this market right now because homes are selling within 3 to 5 days. Unlike any other market, usually it used to be the average time on market would be 60 days, 90 days. It wasn't uncommon in 2008 to see 6 months on the market before a home would sell, where the buyer had the power. Right now, this is a seller's market. And if it's priced right, it's going to most likely sell with multiple offers, over asking, with lots of competition. So it's incredibly important that you get in there right away. So we're going to set you up on an auto email. If you like it, you let us know you want to check it out. And we need to see that home probably within 24 hours of it hitting the market for you to really be able to take it in, think about it, and decide whether or not you want to make it up. Right now, most of us agents are working 7 days a week. Evenings, weekends, there is no days off because this market is that crazy. Projections, we don't really, at first I thought we were gonna be hitting a bubble. Right now, they're starting to say we might plateau and sit here for a while because of the fact that inventory is so low. So you're gonna see this, that we're gonna start to steady off, but these prices and this competition is most likely gonna stay this way if more people don't start selling their homes. But a lot of people are selling their homes and moving. They're moving out of state. They're moving to the next house up. So there's just not enough inventory. So I can't express the urgency of going to look at a home as soon as it hits the market. They say on average, now this statistic is in a normal, stable, healthy market. On average, a person might look at 10 homes before selecting a home. I'm going to almost say you might make 5 offers before you actually have an offer accepted. So right now I have some buyers, we're on offer 8, 9, or 10, and we are going into that house and I have the paperwork in hand. So I was on the phone last night with Mike at 8 o'clock at night, writing an offer for a home that I showed in Corinth. Now my client has slowly trickled up north because of his price point, where, you know, Clifton Park no longer was an option because the homes that are being listed there are higher than what he can afford. So we went a little further north and a little further north. So last night I showed him a home in Corinth and we need to make an offer right away. So what we did was I called him 8 o'clock at night. He's putting together the numbers. He's talking to the client and we're rocking and rolling. And I submitted that offer at 11 o'clock at night because I knew the importance. This particular client needs to get this offer in, needs to, you know, see what we can do. And there's ways to get creative. So like I said before, it's not necessarily about the highest offer. You can get creative in terms of, well, I joke around. I told someone we were going to make an offer with a free year of Netflix. So that, or Amazon Prime, you know, something like that. But no. Ooh.
Battery was going to die.
Oh, thank you. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh, are we in?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Let me just make sure we're still on the live feed. Okay.
I would
Great.
also suggest, like, one thing that I find super resourceful is, like, ask questions before the showing. That's like, ask your agent so we can have
Right.
those questions.
And we're going to reach out to the selling agent prior to the showing and find out as much as we can. And we're also going to do our homework. We're going to let you know, okay, they bought this home in 2010. It looks like they're the second owner. They bought it for $155. It's on the market for $235. Based on inflation, that's about a right price. You know, if it's overpriced, we're going to let you know. We're going to look through the house with you, and that's why we say bring a notebook, because we're going to point out things pre-home inspection to try to make you aware. We all go to the home inspection. We're there for 2 hours listening, paying attention, absorbing, and soaking it in. So there's a lot of things that we learn. Now, granted, we're not licensed home inspectors, so we can't call it anything, but we can let you know, this looks like it's pretty old. The roof, they note that the roof is 30 years old. That's a 30-year shingle. It's probably going to need to be replaced very soon. If we see any sort of brown, dark spots, hey, take note of that. The basement has a sump pump. I'm looking in the sump pump, it's dry. So that's good to know. The builder may have just put it in there. Electrical panel, how much is in the electrical panel? Is it full? How many amps is it? Nowadays, 200 amps is what we need for all of our electronics. So if you're looking at a small house with a 100 amp service, it might not be sufficient enough. If it's one person, it might work. So we'll help you and educate you on the house prior to making the decision as fast as we can. Because realistically, you're in it for a half hour right now, and you have to decide whether or not that's the home for you. So that's a lot of pressure for a buyer. Our job is to make it a little bit easier for you. So those questions that we can answer, we're going to answer for you. We're going to know it ahead of time. We're going to check the taxes. So taxes are really important because if you have to escrow in your taxes, that impacts your mortgage. A lot of the people who are selling their homes are elderly or have major exemptions. So if they have senior star, those taxes are actually going to be more than what they're quoting. So don't trust everything you see. The other thing is a lot of agents don't do the homework on the taxes. So sometimes you're looking at taxes and you're like, whoa, $8,000 in taxes, where I know that area is usually $5,000. The agent didn't do their homework and didn't realize that there's a school re-levy on the property tax. So the taxes are actually less. The homeowner didn't pay the school tax, so the county took on that tax, which will all be corrected and your taxes are actually less. I had a client actually I picked up on it. Nobody else did. We were able to make an offer using the high taxes because the agent didn't realize that there was a re-levy. So it was a negotiating tactic that I used on my end, but we knew that they were going to get that tax break. I brought it to the attention of the lender. The client was thrilled to know that, it was going to be a lot less monthly than what they were quoted because of the fact that that re-levy was on there and that when they went to go pay their taxes, it wouldn't be there. So those are all things, if we can do any sort of homework to bring that house to the front of your list, we're going to do it. You're going to walk into a house, the house is going to sell itself. You're either going to love it or you're not. But knowing those questions and having them answered for you is going to really help you make a solid decision. Questions, these are just some questions. This is also in your packet, guys. These are some questions that you should be asking yourself, ask the agent. If you get the house, ask the home inspector. But if you can get these questions answered ahead of time, it's really going to help you know a lot about the house. So we go, we find a house, you love it, you want to make an offer. What happens? So what happens is basically an offer is a contract that the seller has not signed, where you lay out all of your terms of the offer. There's going to be things in there that's going to protect you as a buyer. So the first thing that'll be in there is your mortgage contingency. We're going to lay out the terms of your loan to make sure that if for some reason you don't qualify for that loan from the time the offer is accepted to the time that you close, which by the way is about 60 days. If something happens where you no longer qualify for that loan under the terms that we laid out, you can cancel and get your deposit back. Which I should say, when you make an offer, there's a good faith deposit. It's usually 1% of the purchase price. So $1,000 if it's in the 100,000 range, $2,000 if it's in the 200,000 range. That comes off of the amount that you have to bring to closing. So they'll deduct that later on, but that is coming out off the top. And that just says, hey, in good faith, we're moving forward. So they sit there, we hold it in escrow, then we deduct it later on. Once your offer is accepted, so going through the contract, your offer will have the mortgage contingency. It'll have an inspection clause, and you're going to let the seller know, Mr. Seller, we are going to do a structural inspection. We're going to do septic. We're going to do well. We're going to do radon. We're going to do mold. You can let them know whatever inspection you want to have. You let them know up front. Dan's going to get into the inspection part and what's considered major and all that stuff. So I'm not going to really touch on that. He'll touch on that when we get to that part. But that protects you. So if you get to the house and there were things we didn't see and the home inspector was like, listen, guys, this is going to be $5,000. Maybe you don't have $5,000 or maybe we can't negotiate with the seller. We're going to have the right to cancel and you can get your deposit back. That's really all our contract actually says is that you can cancel. The seller does not have to fix it. The seller does not have to give a credit. You don't have to fix it prior to closing unless it's something flagged by an appraiser. And, you know, it's just something that gives you as a buyer, a right to back out. So keep that in mind, because a lot of buyers say, oh, there's all these safety items. Safety items are just things that the inspector's letting you know, hey, down the road, we need a GFCI outlet. You know, this is a tripping hazard. You might want to fix that, you know, stuff like that. So those are not things we can ask the seller to fix. We can ask the seller to fix anything that's over $1,500 or more, but they don't have to. They're going to say, in this market, it's a seller's market. So you are one of 13 offers. The seller might say, take it or leave it. In a normal market, a seller will say, you know what, I'll give you a credit, or I'll split it with you, or I'll fix it prior to closing. In this market, they may take the risk and put it back on the market, disclose the issue, and take offer 2 through 13. So those are some things to keep in mind, but it's important to know that that inspection clause does protect you, so you don't have to buy the house if there is something unforeseen. Then there is the attorney approval stage. So once your offer is accepted and signed, then it goes to the attorneys. The attorneys they need 3 business days to approve the loan. They're taking a little bit longer because they're very busy, but if it goes to the attorney and the attorney says, I don't like these terms, or they can't come to an agreement, you can cancel for any reason. So sometimes people will say, you know what? I just realized that I paid $35,000 over asking for this house and I'm freaking out and I don't want it. The attorney can cancel that contract for any reason and there's no penalty to you as a buyer. But it's also the same on the seller side. The seller can also say, you know what? I decided I don't want to move. Or you know what? The neighbor down the road just came and offered me $20,000 more. I want to take their offer. The seller can also cancel. So if you find a house that you love, you want that contract approved by both attorneys ASAP, because anything can happen during those days. So we keep that period very short and we stay on our attorneys so that we can get that approved. And now the contract is locked in by both parties. So the good thing is, if you make an offer, it's not set in stone until the attorneys approve the contract. What can happen when the offer is sent to a seller? They can counter. They can straight up say no. They can counter and ask you to change your terms. So seller concessions, we talked about that earlier. Right now in this market, sellers do not want to allow seller concessions. Why? Because it needs to appraise for that. So let's just imagine this scenario. House is listed at $100,000. You made your offer for $120,000, and now you want 6% concessions on top of that. That house has to now appraise for that top value. If they had 5 other offers with no concessions and they're still getting $120,000, they're going to take those because our offer needs to appraise for like $128,000, so, or $126,000 and some change if you want to do the math. But anyways, they're going to take that $120,000 with no concessions because it's more of a solid deal for them. They don't have to worry about it appraising for that much more. So those are some things to keep in mind, but they can negotiate those terms. We've seen some crazy stuff in this market. So people are asking, will you waive inspections? Please don't waive inspections. That's an agent nightmare. It makes me really nervous for the buyer because you're going to basically say, yeah, I'm taking the house as is and not know a thing about the house. And you saw it in 30 minutes and you made an offer over asking. That's a perfect storm. And I would not advise anybody to waive inspections unless they knew what they were getting into. If they were a contractor, you know, there's some homes in some scenarios where maybe they don't need to do a home inspection, but first time home buyers, home inspections are very, very important. So, you know, they'll ask you if you'll waive appraisal. So you've just offered 35 over asking. And now the listing agent saying seller wants to know if you'll waive the appraisal. So if it doesn't appraise, you're going to come up with the difference in cash. It appraises, your offer is $130,000. It appraises for $115,000. Not only are you going to go with your down payment, your closing costs, but also the difference between what you offered them. There are people out there who are doing that. For me, that's also a major red flag. Why would you agree to pay way more than the house is worth and come up with the difference? Unless it was your forever home and the next spot you're going to be is in the ground and you absolutely love this house. I know it's a little morbid, but you absolutely love the house. I'm not comfortable with that. I feel like the house should at least appraise for what you're paying for it. But that's a personal preference, but it's scary to see some of the stuff that's going on out there. That part I do think will calm down eventually. I think just the home values are probably going to level off over time. So we'll see what happens. I've never seen anything like this in 16 years. So I saw 2008, so that makes me a little nervous about where this is going. but I don't know if it's going to necessarily go there anytime soon. Economics is basically a curve. We should see a decline at some point and then it'll go back up. It's done that over time. But I don't know if I'm hoping it's not a 2008 scenario. Anyways, back to making an offer. Is there any questions that you guys have on the process of making an offer once you're ready to make an offer on a home? Oh, I'll talk real quick about, so in New York State, there's a property condition disclosure. So when we go to make an offer, the homeowner gets to decide whether or not they want to include what's called the PCD. That is about a 6-page yes or no questionnaire that they answer to the best of their ability about the home. If they include it, then you get to know a little bit more about the house. Not much, it's pretty vague. They can actually answer unknown, and a lot of people do. If they don't include it, it's a $500 credit to the buyer. It's like a one-time insurance saying, I'm choosing not to use this report. In the city, nobody uses a PCD because the home values are so high that $500 credit is worth it because they're basically, it's like a one-time insurance that they're not taking any sort of liability for answering yes to something that was no. For example, there are some legal proceedings that happen where somebody said, has there ever been seepage in the basement? They answered no. Buyer comes in, owns the house, and they find all these patches all over the place where somebody tried to hide the groundwater that was coming in. Well, that PCD is what made it so that the buyer could sue the seller and get reimbursement for an issue that they lied and said they never knew anything about. So that PCD is a very important paper for a buyer if something happened down the road and they could prove that the seller never disclosed that. People that are exempt, estates and foreclosures and some trusts are exempt from that. So they don't even have to include it and they won't. Foreclosures are tough because it's very as is and everything's winterized, so you can't really see a lot. And right now you're not getting the deal you used to get. So if you're interested in foreclosures, talk to me about it. We can have a conversation on that. Did you have a question? Okay.
Oh wait, actually, yes, sorry.
Okay.
So usually what is the time period between the contract signed by the attorneys and then like closing date and then moving in date? What is the average time period?
Yeah, so right now everything's a little backed up. I know we're so sick of hearing because of COVID, but title search and things like that are taking a little bit longer than they usually do. We're doing them about 60 days, so 2 months. So the time that your contract starts to the time that you're closing is a 60-day process. In that time, you're doing your inspections, you're applying for your mortgage, they're running title, making sure there's no liens on the property or anything that you would, because once you own the house, if there's a lien on the property, that's now your headache. So they're going to make sure all that's cleared up prior to you owning the house. But in a perfect scenario where you've already done your mortgage pre-approval, things like that, and there's no issues with title, it's a 60-day process start to finish. The day that you close, you own it. Unless you've worked something out where the seller wants to stay and you've done some sort of rent back, the day and the time that you get the keys, you can move in the second after. So, when you're trying to talk to your landlord about giving notice and things like that, I always say wait till after inspections and appraisal to do that. The nice thing, trust goes a little different. They only give you 1 month from closing that your mortgage payment is due. That's still right, Johnny? Most other banks, it's due on the 1st and they don't start that. And that's still accurate too, right? So let's say we close right now, we're in March, right? We close today, your first payment is due May 1st. So you're going to get a month buffer, which is nice if you're in an apartment because you can give your notice and move in slowly. Maybe you want to paint, maybe you want to do all that stuff, but you're not responsible for that first mortgage payment for, if you time it right, you could do it pretty much. You get 1 whole month, the rest of the month that you're in, 1 whole month, and the first of that following month. So you pay rent 1 more month, move in slowly, you're out by the end of that month, and boom, your first payment is due for your mortgage. So it can be pretty fast if everybody's on top of their stuff. There's some unforeseen things. If something comes up in title, we can have a major block. Marie and I know somebody personally that there was an issue and they bought a house and they didn't get title insurance. And it was a foreclosure and something was found and then when we sold the house. So it was a nightmare and it delayed it a little bit. Luckily, it wasn't as bad as it would be. But one thing, title insurance is something that your real estate attorney is going to offer to you. It's a one-time fee that if something was missed at your title search, that maybe when you go to sell, they find down the road, they're going to fix it. I say budget and please just get title insurance.
pay it one time, forget it. It's not a big deal. It's about what, $1,000 or less, right?
It's usually less than that.
Yeah.
The additional owner's policy. The bank is gonna require title insurance. And
For them.
For them, and you have the option of getting the owner's policy to cover you, and it's under $1,000
Right.
typically. I mean, unless it's a very expensive home, so.
I was supposed to have a closing in November that just closed this month. So what is that? 6 months? 5 months? 5 months later than the closing date. So we were in contract for 7 months because the previous owner had a mortgage that was over 30 years old that they paid off, but M&T no longer had record of this loan and it was still open. M&T wouldn't close it until they reopened the file, had this waiting period, and then reclosed it, and it took all that time. So they chose when they bought, and they didn't buy it with me, they sold with me. When they bought, they opted to not get the insurance, and had they did that, it would have been a non-issue, but because they didn't, it took all this time. And if you have to hire an attorney, they charge you the normal attorney rate per hour to fix these things. So it can cost a homeowner a lot of money to fix something that's not even their headache. So title insurance is
And the
important.
reason that owner's policy is important is because they're not saying, if you get the owner's policy, she said you don't have to worry about you as the owner doesn't necessarily have to pay for that, and it's insured, so they can continue to move ahead and correct that issue on the cost of somebody else, and they can still give you clean title. Not that that's not going to be addressed and fixed, but it's not going to be addressed and fixed on your time or your, this is probably.
Yep.
So don't get spooked with the premium of it. It's going to be buried into everything else. So we are going to look at all those line items, but don't get spooked about that. That's a very important thing to do.
Yep. Very important. Marina, do you want to talk about the whole process in general? Want me to keep going? Okay. So your offer is accepted. It goes to the attorneys approve it. The next step is going to be the home inspection. So once you're going to have about 2 weeks to do a home inspection and report the findings and any estimates that you need to get. So Dan's going to talk about the home inspection process once your offer is accepted and what kind of things you can expect from that. Oh, but before that, it's raffle time.
Whichever you want.
We got another
This is
Amazon
special. We
gift
got another
card.
Amazon card. Okay, here we go. I have 172039.
Hey.
There you go. Joy.
We have the winner? Yes.
Who won?
Yeah.
Oh.
You guys won the Amazon gift card?
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Great.
So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Next, we have Dan Page. He's the guy from April Home, and he does home inspection. So he's gonna tell you more about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now that all the fun part's over with of getting the numbers crunching and filling out that paperwork, now you're emotionally invested in a house that you found. And now it's time to do the inspection part to make sure that the house that you are buying is safe and everything inside of it is functioning and the foundation is solid for you to have your family in it. Just the space bar, right?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Just give me
Give a
love gun.
Okay. So what is an inspection? An inspection is a non-invasive visual inspection of the house from the top to the bottom on the outside and the top to the bottom on the inside, inspecting all the components inside the house to make sure that they're operating properly and that everything is safe and functioning properly as well. This is not an insurance policy by any means. This is just a home inspection to make sure that the money that you are investing in is going to be satisfied and that everything is functioning and working. So what is inspected at a home inspection? Everything. For us, with April Home Inspections, we do a full inspection of the house. We take a ton of pictures with the inspection and give you blurbs with of the things that we find. We're not just there to find big ticket items. We're there to educate. We're there to inspect and educate you on the home that you're buying. Some of you guys have been living in apartments And so you call a maintenance guy to come over to change filters, to fix issues. So now that you're in a home, you're going to be responsible for keeping up with those things. So we're there to inspect it, to make sure it's working, and to kind of educate you on the things that you should be doing as you're living in the house, to make sure everything stays functioning the way that you're purchasing it. We're also there to give you an idea of maintenance issues or repair things, because we're there. When you do a home inspection, we are going to find something wrong with the house. I mean, that's a guarantee. We're going to find something wrong. However, we're there to look for the big ticket items, things that are going to cost $1,500 or more to repair before you purchase the home. That's what we're really, really looking for. But we're going to point out maintenance items. We're going to point out repair items and just things that you should upkeep with the house. So behind me here is just kind of a rough of what is inspected. So we inspect the roof. We inspect the chimney. We inspect to see if there's any gutters along the house. We inspect the siding, the windows, any electrical outlets that are on the outside of the house. We inspect any porches, patios, decks. We inspect sidewalks, driveways. And that's just on the exterior, from the roof, exterior walls, and exterior grounds. And then we get into the garage. We make sure that the doors are functioning properly. If it's an attached garage, that everything is safe inside of the house, and that you have a door that leads inside the house that closes behind itself, just for safety issues. And then we go inside the house and we go to the attic. So we actually get up in the attic, we crawl around up in there, and we're looking for, mold. We're looking for old water stains or new water stains. We're looking for any kind of rodents that could be hanging out up in the attic space. And we're just looking for things to point them out to you, to make sure that you're well informed on the house that you're buying. And then the general interior of the house is pretty much everything in between. We're looking for cracks in the walls or in the ceilings. We're testing the outlets. We're testing the hot water and the cold water. We're running the shower. We're looking to see if there's any kind of leaking in plumbing. We're testing all the appliances inside your kitchen to make sure they're operating and working properly. We're testing the windows to make sure they're opening and closing and not just falling, or that they're stuck and they don't open. We're inspecting all the way down to the basement, which is the fun part of the inspection. And this is where everybody stresses out, is because this is where you see the foundation of the house, the foundation walls on the inside of the house. We're looking at the joists and the main beams. We're looking at the heating system. We're looking at the hot water tank. We're looking at the electrical panel to make sure everything is safe. And then we are, the electrical panel, make sure everything is safe. Some added services that we do provide are your pre-listing inspection, pre-purchase inspection. We do radon testing. If you're buying a property with a well, we do water flow testing. We also do water quality testing. And I'm also a licensed mold assessor as well. So if we do find mold when we're inspecting the house, we can also check that out as well and do an assessment for you. So Jen was up here talking about strategy because of the way the market is, and everybody's like, don't waive inspections. And you don't want to waive inspections at all. But sometimes you're looking for ways to make your deal look sexy enough to where it gets approved from the seller. So one of the things that we do is we offer a pre-purchase inspection. And what this looks like is Jen finds you a house, or somebody on her team finds you a house, and you need to be on point and you need to be quick. So you'd call me up and you'd be like, Dan, we're going to look at a house in about 30 minutes. Can you join us? So we would do a walkthrough with you at a showing, and we're looking for any kind of major items. It gives you the confidence to go ahead and put in that offer, waiving inspections. So we're there doing a walkthrough with you, looking for big ticket items to make sure that when you put the offer in, there are no major defects or major issues that would pop up. However, though, we strongly encourage that at some point, if your offer is accepted, that you get a home inspection done. So for instance, we charge $100 for a pre-purchase inspection. So let's just say the home inspection is $400 and you want to get it done. What we do is we take that $100 and we deduct it from the actual home inspection cost. So really, it's an investment for the inspection process of your house. I strongly encourage, don't just walk through a house and don't just waive inspections, because if you're not willing to crawl up in the attic to make sure that there's no mold or anything like that, if you don't know what you're looking at when it comes down to the basement and the foundation walls and the beams and the joists and all of that stuff, if you're not running the heating system to make sure it's working properly, you're going to find yourself in just a bad situation when you move in. Like I shoulda, coulda, and woulda.
Thank you.
What are we looking for? So we're looking for any kind of maintenance items. We're looking for repair items. But like I said before, we're looking for any kind of major issues. Anything that would cost $1,500 or more to repair. What does this do? I just inspect it and report it. This is between you and your agents, how you guys tackle this going forward with your deal. Does it mean that you can't buy the house? No, it doesn't. Listen, you're buying a home. There is going to be something wrong with it. And you have to remember, everything is fixable. Everything within a house that or a home inspector finds is fixable. It's just a matter of what do you want to invest to make sure that you do that it's fixed. So if you're that emotionally, if this is the best house ever, this fits our family, this is perfect, but you know what? The beam needs to be replaced, or there's mold in the attic. There's mold in every house that we go through, FYI. It can be remediated and be gone. If you're that in love with the house, then just move forward if that's something that you and your family want to do. Why home inspections? Home inspections are for unseen, unpredicted problems. So like I said before, we are there not just to inspect the house, but we're there to educate you on your home as well. If you know how to take care of your home, then you don't have to worry about the problems that occur in the future. Understand this, that things are going to just pop up. You know, you don't have gutters on the outside of your house. Be prepared to possibly have water coming in your basement at some point down the road. That's just the nature of the beast, and that just comes with not having gutters. So if you have a home inspector there educating you on why gutter is important, what is the grade of the foundation outside, and why you should have gutter extensions on the side of coming down from the gutters. You know, why and how is important for unseen and unpredicted problems. Is the home safe? Are you buying a house and, you know, we look in the electrical panel to make sure that the amperage of the electrical panel, the main amperage of the electrical panel holds all the weight of everything else in there? Is the proper wiring with the proper switches? Are there more than one, I think Jen said a double tap within an electrical panel? That's 2 or more wires going into one switch. You know, you want to make sure that your house is safe and that it is functioning and working properly. You know, the main beam in the basement, you know, making sure that it's running properly, make sure there's no cracks, not making sure that some plumber didn't come in because they wanted to add a bathroom and put holes through the main beam, or they're cutting portion of the main beam out, which now you've jeopardized the integrity of the foundation when you do stuff like that. Making sure that the beams in the basement are placed. You know, a lot of people put additions and they put what's called lolly columns. Those are those steel beams that support in the beam. Are they properly dispersed throughout the foundation to make sure it's holding properly? So to make sure that your home is safe and to prioritize projects. You bought your home, you're excited. Now I want to knock down that wall. I want to knock down that wall. I want to do something here. I want to add outlets in bathrooms and all that other stuff. So it kind of helps you prioritize the projects that you have to do in your home or that you want to do in your home. You know, you may have questions while we're walking through during the inspection and say, hey, Dan, can I do this? Or, you know, do you think I can open up that wall? Do you think I can, you know, whatever it may be that you want to do, you just want to have something to help you prioritize those projects when you get into the house. And lastly, to give you a peace of mind. At least when you're done, whatever we find, you at least know what you're getting yourself into, and that you can have a peace of mind knowing that you're buying a home that is safe, that is functioning properly, and that you know that the day you move in, you don't have to worry about things going wrong. I'm not saying that they won't, but you will have a peace of mind knowing that you're purchasing a home that is going to be safe for your family, in your future. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
How long are you usually at the property?
That's a great question. So when we do a home inspection, you could expect us there from anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. Obviously, if we're inspecting a 5,000 square foot house, we'll be there a little bit longer, but the average 2,000 square feet and under, we're there about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So when we're doing well, if you're buying a property that has well, we have to let the water run for 1 hour. And this is for what we call a water flow test. So while we're testing the flow of the water, we're letting, like, we'll just say the bathroom, bathtub, the water's running the whole time that we're doing the inspection. And periodically throughout the inspection, we're in there making sure that we're getting 3 gallons of water per minute for that 1 hour. So we have to at least an hour if we're doing a well test. Any other questions?
Is there different types of mold?
So mold is mold. And I tell people this all the time, that we can test it. So I can test the mold. We have lift tapes, we have swabs that we can test the mold. It gets sent to a lab to tell you what type of mold it is. But mold is mold. And regardless of what it is, it should be remediated.
Are all home inspectors licensed mold assessors?
That is a great question. No, not all home inspectors are. Most of them are. You'll find probably 90% of them are mold assessors.
Why is that important?
It's important because why would you want to have to schedule another guy to come back out to do another job that the home inspector can be licensed to take care of right there on the spot?
So just so you guys know, in New York State, it has to be called mold by a licensed mold assessor in order for it to be a term for you to cancel in your contract. If somebody's not licensed, they call it a black microbial substance. That is not enough to cancel a contract or have it remediated.
Yeah.
It has to be done, and it has to be an assessment before you can even bring out somebody to come and remediate it. A remediator won't even look at it without the assessment.
Yeah.
So this is something that New York State put into place a few years ago now.
When that hurricane, whatever that hurricane was. You had remediators that were taking advantage of people doing the assessments and the remediations at the same time. And that's great that you said that, because a home inspector doing the home inspection, say like I'm inspecting the attic, I'm up there, there's mold, which is very common, by the way. The home inspector, without being a mold assessor, will put in the mold assessment or the home inspection report, observed mold-like substance located in the attic on the roof decking that is 10 square feet. This is a major issue, could cost $1,500 or more to repair. Recommend having a licensed mold assessor come inspect or evaluate. So, and then if he's not a mold assessor, that gets sent out. Now, one of the agents have to look for a mold assessor to make an appointment to come back out to do the assessment of the mold, to then follow through with the rest of the process. Like myself, as a mold assessor, I can do everything I need to do while I'm there at the inspection. We take measurements, we take much more thorough pictures of the area where the mold is, and we do a separate report from the home inspection report, which is called the mold assessment report, that will then be handed off to you and your agent. What happens after, most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, the seller takes care of the remediation, however that's negotiated. After it's remediated, the mold assessor comes back out and does what's called a clearance. What that means is they make sure all the mold is gone and everything looks in the way that it should. We also do radon testing. So you're gonna also hear this thrown out a lot as well. Radon is a breakdown of the soil underneath the foundation that turns into a gas that comes up through the cracks and crevices of the home called radon. Upstate New York, there's pocket areas that have higher levels of radon than some. It's a service that's provided. Listen, if you're buying, and it should be tested on the first livable space of the house. So if you have a crawl space and you're doing radon testing, it should be tested in the first floor of the house, not in the crawl space.
Why is radon an issue?
Radon is an issue because if radon levels come back high, this is classified as a major issue, which can then your real estate agent can negotiate to either have a mitigation system put in or say, I don't want this house.
But why? Why is
Oh.
somebody,
Why
why
is
is
it
it dangerous?
I hate saying this. Radon is known as the second leading cause of lung cancer. But listen, radon is not good. It has to be ridiculously high levels of radon to really give you lung cancer, and you'd have to be exposed to it for like all day long. Yeah. So if you have, the number is 4. The magic number in New York is the number 4. If radon levels come back more than 4 or higher, it's classified as a major issue, and then a mitigation system needs to be installed.
But that number is most likely lower than what would be, I mean, that's the number that the EPA has set as a standard. From what I heard, Canada averages at like 24.
Yeah.
I heard, so people who are living in Canada are consistently exposed to a level of 24 or higher. So, it's not something to be afraid of. If your house gets flagged for radon 4.0 or over, this radon mitigation system, which is usually about $1,200, it's just a fan, will eliminate that issue in your house, and it's no longer an issue.
Yeah. So, and it won't necessarily get rid of, so the reading won't probably be 0. It'll fluctuate under 4. So the way they put these systems in is if you have a concrete basement, so what they do is they drill this hole into the basement floor. They have this cool little system that comes up through the house, looks like a little dryer vent outside, and it just kind of blows the air from underneath the foundation. Any other questions?
What do you recommend? How many homeowners should we have for the application process?
You should just be doing 1 home inspection per house. So if you buy a house, if you're in contract for a house, you would want to have a home inspection done. If that deal falls through and you don't end up buying that house and you find another house, you should have a home inspection done on that house. So it's 1 per house, I guess.
But if you're gonna, but the pre-home inspection,
Oh, okay.
like the walkthrough, is that what you were saying?
I'm thinking about all 3: the pre-home inspection, going the actual application process. Let's say I have repairs done and the seller actually done the repairs, the post-application process, as well as the time period after that contract is done. We also offer like an inspection as well, because sometimes a major issue could occur right after I just purchased the home within the next 24 hours.
Yeah, so anything on the report, so if there's a major issue or if there's something that's pointed out on the inspection that needs to be taken care of by the seller, we'll come back out and look at it to make sure that it's been repaired properly and that it's functioning properly. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
It's not always necessary though, depending on what the issue is.
Yeah.
But if the homeowner said, I'm gonna replace the roof, and this is Dan is really great because he's gonna let you know. So for example, we have a mutual client who has a slate roof, and he counted 22 slate tiles that are in need of repair. The seller went and got an estimate for $1,500 for 7 tiles. So he's been involved in recommending what needs to be done, and he volunteered to come look when the work was done, to come look at it and make sure that the issues that were addressed in the home inspection were corrected properly.
Yeah, we're not going to leave you high and dry and say you're good. We'll make sure that you're getting what you should be getting. So, any other questions?
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
And I would highly recommend, especially for for you guys that are first-time home buyers, follow your inspector around. I mean, leave them some space and to do their job, but follow them around and ask the questions. Okay, this time I would just welcome Maria Natarelli to come in. She's a financial advisor. Thanks.
So I don't have any slides, and I know I'm the last speaker before you guys get to go home. So hopefully I won't put you to sleep too much. And I'm going to keep this here if that's okay. So I'm a certified financial planner. Like I mentioned in our original intros, I own Inspire Confidence Group, which is a franchise of Ameriprise Financial. We're located on Wolf Road. Technically, that's where our home base is, but we do have 6 locations throughout the country and clients all over the place. So there are 10 financial advisors in our practice. And if you're looking for one, please do me a favor, go to the CFP board website and look there when you get started. It means that we are fiduciaries. Does anybody know what that means? It means that we have to put your interests way ahead of any of our own. And just because you're a financial advisor does not mean you are a fiduciary. So just so you guys know that, I don't know if that's common knowledge or not, but I always like to give that FYI. So I love that Jen asked me to be here today. We've had a couple of clients that we've worked with that they come to us in the beginning stages and they're nervous. They don't know what to expect from our experience. And a lot of them, especially with my younger advisor team, are young. They don't really know kind of what to expect from the process. They hear their parents talk about their guy or gal. Most of them are guys, sorry. And it basically turns into this cool conversation of what do you want for yourselves and our goals and fitting in buying a first home with your retirement plans and financial independence. But also if you guys have kids, making sure if it's important to send them to college, make sure that we're not derailing all of these other longer term goals with this initial home purchase. And I have to say, I love that you guys invited me here, and I love the relationships that I have with Jen and Mike and all of your teams, because a lot of people in your professions don't like financial advisors because we are the ones that are like, okay, cool, the bank told you can afford 500 grand. You can't really afford that. And then it turns into this battle sometimes. So what Jen asked me to kind of talk a little bit about today is how we work through budgeting with people and really thinking about all of the information that's out there on the internet with what should you be carving out of your monthly income for a mortgage payment. You do that quick Google search, you're going to find anywhere from 28% of your gross income all the way up to like 36, I think was the most I saw. And it like made me almost fall out of my chair. I'm like, this is crazy, because everybody's situation is different. So we take a look to see, like I said, what's important to you and what does your cash flow look like now while you're renting? And we actually break that down because it's really difficult to pare back lifestyle. It's really hard. It's like one of the hardest things to do. I call myself a financial coach because most of my stuff that I do, sure, I can get a rate of return like we were talking about before. I can hit that all day. But the problem is that if you're not saving enough money and you're going into credit card debt already, then where are we, right? So we start with what your current expenses are. I love, John, your spreadsheet that you threw up there. I love numbers, shocking. But I love that spreadsheet because we do create something very similar for people when they're going through the process with us for this first-time home purchase. Because it is scary, and it's important that we don't just look at what the rate is. We look at all of the extra expenses. And everybody's situation is different. If you have student loans, credit card debt, like I mentioned, it does impact things. And it's not just a straight line, 28% of your income. And again, like I said, making sure you're not taking your eye off of the longer term goals that you have just to get into the house. Because that is also important. That's a major goal and a huge life achievement. So, like I said, I don't have any slides. I'm sorry, I wasn't really as prepared as I should have been today. But does anybody have any questions for me about budgeting? I do have a couple of cool apps and stuff I can share with you.
What's a good number that somebody should take into consideration percentage-wise for how much of their, their monthly income should go towards housing? So when they're trying to figure out how much they want to spend a month on a mortgage, what's a good point of reference just to start? I know it's going to be custom to different scenarios, but just what's that percentage?
So the rule of thumb is a basic 28%. If you, again, that's a Dave Ramsey thing, which I love. I really respect what he does, frankly. It's a little different than what we do, but it's similar in nature. So 28%, he says gross income, I say net income. Do you guys know the difference between those two? So like, what are you guys netting? What are you actually bringing home? Because it looks really cool and sexy when you get your paycheck and you're making 80 grand a year, but at the end of the day, if you're taking home 60, that's real life. So great question. So 28 is like a good rule of thumb. I'm also a really conservative planner, so that's why Dave Ramsey is saying 28% of gross, because it's going to give you a little more buying power. But again, I do have my expense worksheet I can send. I was going to tell Jen, I'll send her a quick deck that I have, just a couple of FYI things, and my expense worksheet. It's a really neat editable PDF for you. That way you can actually add in, like you can see, okay, what am I currently spending at Starbucks? I mean, I do this every month for myself and it's really bad. But again, it's hard to break habits like that. So, and you really want to try to not talk yourself into, well, I'm not going to go out to eat as much because I'm going to be home and I love my house. Like that doesn't happen. It'll happen maybe for a month. And then you can be like, okay, I still want to stop on the way home and grab this. So just be aware of that.
Do you have any tips or tricks for people to save money for a down payment?
I do. Thank you for bringing that up. So I can't tell you how many people come into our initial visits and I say, okay, what are your goals? And they say, I want to buy my first house. And I say, that's awesome. Cool. How much you want to spend? I don't know. Tell me. And I love when they ask me that question because then we can get into the weeds. But most of them think it's not attainable because they have this in their head that they have to do the 20% down. And I love that Mike led off our conversation today with you between 3 and 5, reasonably, sometimes 0, which is even better. I always ballpark things because that's not my profession. I leave that to the pros, you guys. But for that initial conversation, I say, okay, well, where are you looking? And I grew up here. I grew up in East Greenbush, so I'm local. I live in Niskayuna, so I can ballpark taxes. I know I've worked with Jen and Mike long enough where I can ballpark most of this stuff, and with our other current clients that I'm like, okay, let's throw in $400,000 house and we've got this many bedrooms, maybe it's a $10,000 tax bill. This is what your mortgage insurance would be. Okay, well, why do I need that? Well, you're not going to put 20% down. Well, why not? Because then you don't have any cash, right? So I always try to set up little buckets of money for people to just start thinking about, okay, I need 5% for a down payment and some extra money for closing costs, right? And then we have that set aside, not in stocks, because if the market pulls back, you're going to be selling when it's low, which is not good. So again, talking through this stuff from a timeline is really, really important. Because if you're not looking to buy a house within the next year, sure, you can have a little bit of money in stock. Not all of it, please, but a good amount. And not in cash.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, that horrifies me. Yeah. And a lot of people love to, right now the interest rate environment is changing, but the last 2-3 years because of COVID, the interest rates have been so low on the savings side and the mortgage side. So it's been a great time to borrow money. Horrible time to have too much cash in the bank. You're actually losing money. If you think about where inflation is right now, 8%, you're actually losing 8% on all of those funds that are in your checking account. Does that make sense? That's how I think about it. It's like a little interest rate game on my side. But yeah, no, we set up little buckets of money based on time horizon of when you need the funds for. And I always suggest that, if you have 30 grand sitting in your checking or savings account, being able to say, okay, that's my money for my home down payment, and I feel good about that. I still don't ever want you to spend all of that money at closing, because then you need furniture for the 5,000 square foot house that you just bought coming out of a 1,200 square foot apartment. So it's all kind of based on what your needs are. What does it really look like? And we use our own personal experiences a lot with our clients to make sure that they can run through those what if scenarios with us. So great question. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great.
Any other questions from the crew?
What are the fees for a financial advisor?
So it depends. So I'm an owner in the firm. I've been here for 15 years. So my fees start at $3,500 per year. And we do comprehensive personal financial planning. And we basically will do anything you want. I call myself like the CFO of a company or your family, because we want to make sure that we're helping you with all of those things. My middle level advisors are $2,500 per year. And then my younger advisors are $1,500 per year. And you can pay that however you want. So we have a lot of our younger clients that want this advice, but they shouldn't because of a down payment, or they don't want to have that questioned if they send in their statements, right? You can put it on a credit card, get some points, get that usage up, and pay it monthly. So a lot of people just build us in as like an expense.
What do you get within that year?
So phase 1 is really comprehensive in nature. So what we do is, like I said, we sit down and we work through all of your goals. We get through what's important to you. So we actually go through a value card exercise together to make sure we understand what's important and how your brain ticks. Because if we don't know what's important to you, how are we supposed to manage your money and work through your goals and help prioritization if we need to? And then we actually help you implement the plan. So we'll look at your investments, we'll look at all of your goals, help you set up those different buckets of money, help you save more. So just like going to a personal trainer, and you're going to build strength that way, we'll help you save more if you actually work with us and follow our ideas. And we also look at unexpected and legacy planning as well. Because when you have a mortgage, if something happens to you, if you don't have some certain banks, I think Trustco might offer this actually. You guys do the death benefit option where if somebody passes away,
Yes.
you do?
For IRAs and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. So most companies don't offer that. So we got to talk later, I think. So we do life insurance as well as disability income protection. So if you get disabled, which is actually most young people's biggest concern, but it's also the most expensive kind of insurance. If you get disabled, you still have to pay your mortgage. And it takes a long time to get approval, if you even get approval for Social Security disability. So it can be kind of brutal. So we look at all of those what if scenarios, and it's not just about selling insurance, it's about really educating you guys as to like, what are the what if scenarios? I call it my doom and gloom meetings because I try to make it a little fun. But same with the mortgage balance. You know, if you have a $300,000 mortgage, most of the time, if your spouse passes away, you're not going to have enough death benefit to pay that off or be able to maybe even afford to keep your house. So we look at all of that stuff. And then legacy, making sure that your wills are done and all that good stuff. And then we get into tracking mode. That's where I really feel like it's really cool because we get through a lot of stuff in phase one. But tracking is really neat because then we really help you build your overall savings rates and make sure that if you don't find the house within that first phase, we're still looking at your goals at least twice a year. So does that help?
Great.
Cool.
Does generational planning, when we started talking about that in the mortgage process earlier about generational planning as okay, you've got, let's talk, if you're young, you've got parents, what's the expectation of your parents get to the point of retirement, death? Are they either A, leaving you funds to leave, or are you going to have to set aside funds to take care of your parents? Which is a real conversation that we start, we're not prepared to have it. We would
You guys have been great with that.
recommend a financial advisor, but that's an important topic. Like, what's going to happen? Not am I going to come into a windfall of cash? That's easy. But are my parents in a position to, am I going to have to help them out? And that can be a decision as to, what to do, how to plan, not only what you buy, but what you do with your money going forward. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been more of a topic as of late.
Absolutely, yeah. We actually have a multi-generational approach to our planning, and that's another reason why our oldest advisor in our practice is 62 years old, and our youngest is 22. Because the people out of college that are their grandchildren now, like our oldest client, my oldest client's 94 years old, and she's amazing. But my youngest one is technically 18, and he's in college. He's got a Roth IRA going while he's working part-time. His parents are matching it. Like, it's super cool to watch all of this unfold.
What's your feelings on Bitcoin?
It's funny. We actually can't even do cryptocurrency because it's so volatile. I actually do believe that digital currency is the future. I think it's going to take a long time for us to get there. And we'll see what the Fed has to say about
I
that.
sat in a whole class about real estate and how Bitcoin is going to be the future of how people are going to purchase homes.
I don't think it's just for homes. I think it's everything. Yeah, we're already doing a small scale of it. Think about Venmo. Think about your PayPal apps and all of the things. I'm in the middle of hosting a bridal shower, which is why I thought it was hilarious. There's one right there again. But I thought it was done with bridal showers, but apparently I'm not. So I'm hosting one, and I'm like asking the girls, like, Venmo me, and I'm sending them the code. And there's 2 older bridesmaids in here. They're like, can I just give you cash? Can I just write you a check? And I'm like, you need to adopt. But no, I think it's going to be the future. I don't know.
Yeah, there are also like right now coffee places where they take Bitcoins. You can
Oh,
pay.
yeah.
Around here.
One of my salons that I go to, they actually don't accept any cash. So again, going to the no cash concept, they don't accept cash, and they actually want to, they shouldn't say this out loud, but there's nobody here from the IRS. They don't want the girls to get tipped out on the credit cards anymore. They want
This is
Venmos.
going out live, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
So-
Hi. I'm off screen right now. But no, they don't want that. So it's kind of an interesting world that we're in right now. I think it'll take a while for that to take off personally. But I was at a conference a couple of years ago, and they had called for 2030 being when that's going to be way more mainstream. So if that helps.
Interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And reminder, just if you have timeline where you think you're going to be needing these funds within the next, I would say 12 months, even though I mentioned the idea about inflation and losing 8% because of where inflation is right now, don't get spooked by that. If you know you need these funds within 6 to 12 months, keep it in cash. Not in your safe, but at the bank, keep it in cash. Try to get a money market. If you get like 0.5% or 1% in a money market right now, it's a good deal. Do it. I saw one on my Amex, I think was 2% still, which blew my mind. So, and credit cards, if you guys can use them responsibly. I'm not sure who here has credit card debt, but like I mentioned before, like I pay mine off every month because it's a charge card. So I have an American Express card every month. I pay the whole balance and my credit score is fabulous. When I couldn't afford to do that, what you do, to Mike's point, is just keep that ratio under 30%. And I always say that if you're about to buy a house, don't close those lines. But if you have a credit card spending problem, cut the card up. That's fun when I get to do that.
Yeah.
I have my younger advisors cutting cards now, and they're like, this is the coolest thing ever. Anyway, it doesn't happen a lot, which is good. But anything else? Good?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. So is there any questions that you guys have in just in general? We have one final giveaway, and we're gonna do it through a Kahoot. If you guys have ever done this before. So what I'm gonna have you guys do is whoever wins is gonna get a day spa pass to iCryo and Latham.
Yep.
And what do you get? 3 services?
You have 3 services. One is freezing. You go to the chamber, to the freezing chamber, and you freeze there. The other one is you have compression, and you have the infrared sauna. So when you get there, whoever gets it, the information is there. You will call also how to cash it, how to go there. It's written in there. And you'll talk to one of the girls, and they will give you a tour, tell you everything, and it's a super cool style pass. That if you're into health, that's awesome. I like the music. It feels like.
Hold on one second. Let me go to the window. There we go.
You didn't know it would be a quiz, right? You didn't know it would be a quiz.
All right. So you guys are gonna go to either go to www on your phone, go to kahoot.it, or you can do the app. And you're going to, or you can scan that I don't know if you guys can get that close to that, but you're going to type in the PIN 247965 at kahoot.it. Steve's in.
First one.
All right. Are you guys all in? Okay, go ahead. Oh.
The what?
The Kahoot.
You want to use some ones?
I was gonna say you can. You in? So how this will work is that the questions are gonna come up on your phone and you're gonna answer it, and it'll basically, it's gonna show everybody's answers. Everybody in? Yeah?
Oh, you did? Okay.
Just in a while.
Okay. Oh,
Are you in?
okay. You guys are in? Everybody's good? Okay. All right, here we go, guys. Homebuyer seminar. Here we go. What is step 1 of the home buying process? Get pre-approved. That's step 1. All right. So Eric is in the lead on that one. He answered the fastest. Actually, I couldn't see.
Okay. True or false? You need 20% down in order to buy a home. That guy happens to be my favorite actor. False. All right. Is that supposed to be Mackenzie? Or Mackenzie? Oh, that's you. Okay, just checking. All right, you're in the lead now. Ready? You might get the eye cry. We'll see. About how long does it take to close on a home once you go under contract? 60 days, 30 days, 75 days, or 120 days? Okay. 60 days. Let's see, who's it going to be? Oh, Eric's on fire. You have a streak of 3 correct in a row. Mackenzie, you're still winning. All right. Yeah, you're not answering fast enough. How much does a structural issue need to be in order to be considered a major defect? 3,000, 5,000, 1,000, or 1,500? Look at that. Fast answers over here. All right. Eric took the lead.
Wow.
Oh, man. All right, guys. What is the order of the home buying process? Inspection, attorney approval, mortgage commitment, appraisal, closing. Attorney approval, appraisal, inspection, closing, mortgage commitment. Attorney approval, inspection, appraisal, mortgage commitment, closing. Wing it and hope for the best. Attorney approval, then the inspection, then the appraisal, then your mortgage commitment, and then closing. Let's see. Oh, Eric, you're still in the lead. Tough round. That was a tough question. Last question, just a true or false. You should always use a realtor for your real estate needs. That should be a very fast answer.
So long. I mean, come on. Okay.
Phil is actually probably, that's my real estate husband. If anybody ever watches Modern Family, every realtor is a ninja in a blazer. Hey, who said false? All right, guys, let's see. Mackenzie, you came in third. Gabe came in second. And the winner of our quiz, Eric! So you're going to get a day pass at iCryo. It's a lot of fun.
Enjoy it.
All right, you guys. Yeah. So we are finished. If you guys want to stick around, if you have any questions for any of our presenters, please feel free to ask. We do have your contact information, so there's probably a couple. We'll send an email, a follow-up email with all of our contact info in there so that you have it. We hope that you guys got a lot out of it, and we hope that we can work with you in your home buying needs. So thanks for coming out today and spending the morning with us, and good luck out there. Thank you.
Guys. Woo.